What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the episode. I am going to be posting YouTube videos, and I'm going to be reacting to this one. 15 lessons from 800 episodes. They make hashtags, dude. And this is how easy it is to post a video. School. Alright, let's get into the video. Why is it not playing? That's really weird. Oh, it's connected.
Wisdom, and as is tradition, I'm going to go through some of the best lessons that I've learned over the last 100 episodes. Some of it is stuff from my newsletter, some of it's things that I've learned from guests on the show, and other bits are just random insights I've encountered in life. So, yeah, let's get into it. The first one, productivity debt. I adore this idea. So when Matthew Hussey came on the show, he has this quote from his book Love Life where he's talking about how he is an internal tyrant. He says, I struggle to believe I'm worthy of moments of joy and peace without first putting myself through a brutal schedule, monitoring my productivity levels down to the minute. Perhaps some people apply this earn your cookie mindset in ways that lead to healthy achievements. Not me. Mine is a mutation whereby joy and self-compassion are regularly outlawed by an internal tyrant who decides when I've been flogged enough for one day. Just when I'm about to collapse, a voice inside says, okay, give him half an hour of peace before bed, but make sure he knows we'll start again, bright and early in the morning. And this insight hurts my soul, largely because I see it in myself. And Oliver Berkman, who wrote 4,000 Weeks, has a name for this bottomless pit of self-imposed expected efficiency, productivity debt. He says that many people, by which he meant him, seem to feel as if they start each day off in the morning with a kind of productivity debt, which they must struggle to pay off throughout the day in hopes of reaching a zero balance by the time the evening comes around. He said that few things felt more basic to his experience of adulthood than this vague sense that he's falling behind and need to claw his way back up to some minimum standard of output. It's as if he needs to justify his existence by staying on top of things in order to stave off some ill-defined catastrophe that might otherwise come crashing down upon his head, which is why he is such an enthusiastic proponent of keeping a done list, which starts empty first thing in the morning, and then you gradually fill it with whatever you accomplish throughout the day. And his argument is that each entry is a cheering reminder that you could have, after all, spent the day doing nothing constructive, yet look at what you did instead. And if you're in a serious psychological rut, he says you can just lower the bar for what gets to count as an accomplishment. Nobody ever needed to know that you added brushed teeth or made coffee to your done list. But a done list isn't just a way to feel better about yourself. You need to give up the impossible quest to pay off your productivity debt and instead start thinking about each day as an opportunity to move a small but meaningful set of items over to your done list. And you'll find that you make better choices about what to focus on, and because you'll actually make more progress on them by wasting less time and energy being distracted by the stress about all of the other stuff that you're unavoidably neglecting. So paying off this imaginary productivity debt completely, in other words, working so hard and so efficiently that you no longer feel like you're falling behind, is literally impossible. It's not just grueling and unpleasant. And in the modern world of work, there is no limit to the number of emails that you might receive and the demands that your boss might make and the ambitions that you might have for your career. So there's no reason to believe that you'll ever get to the end of them. Meanwhile, modern media, especially social media, is a giant machine for exposing you to a bottomless news feed of far more suffering than St. Francis of Assisi himself was ever asked to care about. So whenever Oliver manages to remember that this is just the way things are, that the cosmic debt that he seems to imagine that he has to pay off is in fact inherently impossible to pay off, he finds that he is far better able to relax in the midst of having too much to do, as opposed to making relaxation dependent on first getting on top of it all, which he never will. And crucially, he thinks he's better placed to actually do things, the productive and good citizen things that were the focus of all of this angst in the first place. Look, there they are on the done list. Not many of them, perhaps, at least by comparison to the immeasurable galaxy of things that need doing. Still, there are generally quite a few more than 0 items there by the time that 6 p.m. rolls around. And then I think he said at 6 p.m. he usually mixes a gin and tonic, but that tends to not get added to the list. Generally, this idea of productivity debt, I think, puts a name on a sensation that lots of us feel. This,
you want to change your life today? Make a decision. Focus on where you want to go instead of what you're afraid of. Really create your life on a new level. Whatever stops, whatever's got in the way, it's time to change it. Who's ready for this here? Say aye. Say aye.
There's 50 different things that I wanted, and my coach is incredible.
It took me to a different level.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I've spent the last 43 years now working with people all over the world in 100 countries to show them how they can improve their lives. I'm obsessed with this question of what makes the difference in the quality of people's lives. And why is it so many people have a story about why it didn't work, and very few people have the actual results? Well, the answer is you need to tap into this consistent system that gets you to act consistent. And how have we done that throughout history? Well, if you look at history, most people did it through some form of mentorship. If you were going to go for mastery, you're going to be a dabbler, you're going to get extraordinary results and have them last, what did you do? You found a mentor, you found a coach. Well, today, human beings learn the same way. We learn by immersion, and we learn by getting feedback in real time based on things we're doing. I'm so passionate about coaching because for time immemorial, that's how the job got done, where there was lasting change. Where there's someone there consistently with you that understands you, knows what you're missing, knows what you want, knows what the challenges are, knows what gets in the way. You need something outside you. The greatest athletes in the world all have coaches. Why? People already have what they need to succeed. They just need some tweaking. They need some skills or some insights. They need someone at the right moment to get them look at something in a different way so they can get the answer they need. That's what I...
odd requirement to sort of whip ourselves into submission, this odd sense that we are falling behind. He has this great term, what is it he says earlier on? He talks about this vague sense that you are falling behind. And it's just this sort of
vague sense that you are falling behind. We all fall behind in certain aspects of our lives. Whatever aspect it is for you, it's going to be different for somebody else, but there are similar people that fall along this path. Whatever it is, know that this memory will pass, that this thing will shape into who you are today.
Thing. He needs to justify his existence by staying on top of things, this vague sense he's falling behind and need to claw my way back up to some minimum standard of output. And, you know, this is kind of, I guess, the dark side of being interested in productivity and efficiency, that you set yourself this unbelievable bar and you're probably excited by lots of different things. You're probably good at lots of different things. So the options that you have in front of you are high, and you hold yourself to high standards, and you want to make an impact on the world, and you want to maximize your brief sliver of time whilst you're existing in this the 2 eternities of darkness. Here you are. This is your time. I'm going to get the most out of it. And what that ends up doing is this sort of permanent imbalance between the things you want to do and the things that you end up doing, which actually means that even the things you do have this odd sort of tarnished.
Things you want to do are different than things that you should do. Why I put on 2 different spectrums is because you know why. You truly know why. Because without that spectrum, you don't see the value of what you are doing versus what you should be doing. Understand?
To them. I certainly know this like unbelievably well myself, you know, doing a live show and it's the 3rd show that I've ever done, and it's London, and it's sold out on a Saturday night at Leicester Square Theatre or wherever we were last year, and everything goes well, and it's, you know, it's still early on in my career, and yet when I finish up, I'll look back and focus on those 2 little sections that I didn't quite get right and forget the 1 hour and 58 minutes of pretty much perfect, exactly what I wanted and expected and would hope to get out of it. But I'll just focus on those other two things. And this sort of negativity bias that we have, plus this sense that we should always be doing more, always be working harder.
Always be doing more, always be working harder. Without that acronym, you will be stagnant. Always be doing more, always be working harder is a very good representation of what he's trying to explain. And through that representation, you can always get more and always do more and always achieve more is what he's implying. Because without those three things that I stated, you'll be stagnating through the game of life.
You know, if you've ever gone through a period of really intense work and all that you think about is, God, I just wish I could have, 1 weekend at home. I just don't want to be traveling again, or I don't want to be working again, or, I don't want to have to get up on time. I just wish I could have one lie-in. And then after 2 lie-ins, you now think, I really need to get back on that grind. I'm feeling a little bit lazy. And you're like, hang on a second, you just said only 48 hours ago that you couldn't wait to get a little bit of a break. Yeah, for the sort of type A go-getter people, I think this is just an ambient demon that sits on everybody's shoulder. And Matthew's idea of this internal tyrant that's constantly whipping him, I think, is pretty illuminating. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. Productivity debt is just so fundamental to how lots of people see the world.
Gaza's population is on the brink of famine. Every hour counts. Children are starving to death. Make a donation. Support these humanitarian organizations. This cannot wait. This is not a debate.
I don't care. It is a debate for me.
All right, next one. The curse of competence. This is something I've been thinking about for a little while. You probably are pretty competent if you're listening to this podcast. You can do things and you're prepared to try new stuff. And when you try new stuff, you don't suck that much. And you seem to probably make progress more quickly than most people. And this is the curse of competence, because your options for life direction are less constrained by your abilities and more constrained by your choices. And this sounds like a blessing, and indeed it probably is better than the alternative, but it's a unique category of problem which occurs while people tell you how fortunate you are to deal with it. So Barry Schwartz in The Paradox of Choice talks about the process of buying jeans 60 years ago, and you go to the jeans store and there is one type, one color, one cut. You find your waist size, you pay, and you walk out.
Curse of competence is what you think you might be competent for, but you might not be competent for about. What I mean by that is that without the curse of competence, you will not grow, you will not achieve, you will not do the things you want to do at the end of life. Because without being competent, you are not anything. Understand? What competence means for me is that competence, without competence, you are just on the spectrum. You think that you are competent, but you are not competent. You think you are competent in a certain way, of a realm, of a frame, of something that comes to mind, but you actually are not competent in that way. Comprehend?
Now, you may have wanted a slightly different style of jeans or length or color or whatever, but you had no choice other than what was given to you. So your total utility from the jeans may not be maximized, but your satisfaction with the decision is pretty high, knowing that you got the best that you could given the circumstances. And if you compare that to today, and you go to the jeans store and look around, do you want skinny or boot cut, straight leg, cropped? Do you want ripped, blue, gray, acid wash with contrast stitching or without? The options are endless, and hooray, this means that you can finally select the exact pair of jeans that you were looking for. But it also means that any suboptimal decision is entirely your fault. If you were unhappy with your jeans in 1960, it's the fault of the crappy jeans store. if you're unhappy with your genes in 2024, it's the fault of your research. Previously, your experience was largely out of your hands and limited by the world. Today, it's only limited by your choices. And this is how a constraint of options makes the decision-making process easier. And the curse of competence plays into this as well. So if you're only good at one category of things, you sure might be unhappy that you can't do something else, and that indeed is a rubbish situation. But the constraint helps to narrow your choices down. On the other hand,
I like that. The constraint helps narrow the two choices down. Without a constraint, without choosing your choices, you don't get to truly see the vision of your past, of yourself, of anything. You don't get to see everything and anything into your frame of mind. The constraint is your choices that are slimmed down into a slim, small sandwich where you can either bite off more than you can chew, or you can do a lot more than what you can eat. Same thing. Or you just take small bites of the same piece of sandwich that you make over and over and over again. So bite off more than what you can chew is what he's saying.
if you're good at lots of things, there are many paths open to you, which is liberating, but can also cause you to be scared and confused and frozen in place. And we could call this a Titanic problem, which is an issue everyone says you're in such a privileged position to deal with.
You're in such a privileged position to deal with. Privilege comes with only standard and not frame of mind. It only comes from standards of your own creation and your own disification. Because it comes from your own dissatisfaction of what the hell you're truly trying to do. Which dissatisfaction, you are dissatisfied with one thing versus the creation of one another thing means that that standard is lower than the new thing. Understand? Because we are dissatisfied with one thing, but we are satisfied with more things that we think about than we truly are. Comprehend?
Mastriani says this is an extra special type of tragedy, a tragedy that unfolds while everyone cheers, like being on the Titanic after the iceberg hits, water up to your chin, with everybody telling you that you're so lucky to be on the greatest steamship of all time. And the Titanic is indeed so huge and wonderful that you can't help but agree, but you're also feeling a bit cold and wet at the moment, and you're not sure why. Having lots of competencies that you could follow.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
In your life is exciting, but it's also terrifying and paralyzing too. Plus, you have the added challenge of feeling guilty for your seeming ungratefulness, even though the world is at your feet. So it's this very odd sort of concatenation of
I'll be right back. Hello?
It's fine. They're a microdose, okay?
They are not a microdose.
They are. There's 2/8 of a gram in each one.
What? No, 2/8 of an ounce. What the fuck is 2/8 of a gram? That's not a thing.
Oh my God, that explains why I'm so fucking high. Jesus
Scary amount of
fucking
mushrooms
Christ.
or not. 7 grams in each.
Okay. It sounds like a lot, but I had one and it hit me strong, but now it's very manageable. I feel okay. I think you'll be okay.
I had 3.
What?
Oh,
3? That's too fucking many. Oh my God, dude, that's too many screws.
Oh my God.
21 grams.
Oh my God. Don't need too many chocolates.
Excuse me?
Oh, I played that part so well. Okay. Alright.
Paralysis of analysis, lots of life choices, lots of different directions that you could go in with things. This sort of shame and guilt around who am I to complain when there's ostensibly nothing wrong. I have all of these different options. Should I not feel grateful for this? And yet I can't help but feel like, I don't know, the decision making, having to choose what it is that I'm going to do just feels exhausting to me and tiring. And
I'm the same way.
I
Like, making a video is very time wasting in my personal opinion. I'd rather just work on my school. But I have to make a video because I have to. So that's the same thing with me. I fall into that pit where it's very exhausting to make a video and talk long periods of time about that certain thing.
I think that this is a challenge that people who are competent face. And it's, with the Titanic problem thing, it is exactly the sort of problem no one is ever going to give you sympathy for. Oh, poor, talented person. Look at how many different directions you could go in life. You could go into sales, or you could go into marketing, or you could go into the family business, or you could do whatever. Maybe you want to be a mum or a dad. Maybe you want to be a teacher. You'd be great at it. All of these different options in front of you. No one is going to ever give sympathy to the person who has too many choices, and yet the felt experience of that person is always going to be painful a lot of the time. So constraining down your choices, picking the thing that you're going to do, periodizing it is a good solution. Instead of saying, I have all of these roads open in front of me and this one that I choose has to be the right one. If you set yourself a maximizing decision criteria as opposed to a satisfying one, like good enough or perfect, if you get to good enough and say, well, I'm going to do this, but it's probably a reversible decision. Maybe I can try X project for 90 days or a year or something like that. And if I don't like it, then I can pivot into something else. And here's the brilliant thing. If you are competent, there are other things that you can pivot out of. So I think changing from a maximizing lifelong commitment to a satisfying experimental commitment is probably a good reframe. Look, just give it a crack. Give the thing that you're thinking about a try. And if it doesn't work, you can pivot out of it. But yeah.
For me, I'm giving myself a very long try, giving myself a lot of trial and error and a lot of failure on the downside of making content. That makes sense.
Of competence, something pretty important, I think. I learned this word as well, actually. William Costello mentioned it to me when I sent him the Oliver Berkman episode a couple of weeks ago, and he said how sanguine he found Oliver, and I'd seen this word written down. I can pronounce it, but I had no idea what it meant. So sanguine means optimistic or positive, especially in apparently bad or difficult situations. He is sanguine about prospects for the global economy. The committee takes a more sanguine view.
Very optimistic, and I like that. In difficult times, I like that a lot. Interesting. I don't think I need to talk about that anymore.
Medieval science and medicine of or having the
For me, mine are probably making video contents, making just YouTube videos, talking about the YouTube videos, just talking about everything that I can.
Associated with the predominance of blood among the bodily humors supposedly marked a ruddy complexion and an optimistic disposition. So like everybody that's florid or ruddy in the UK that gets accused of being gammon is actually just having a optimistic disposition. But yeah, sanguine, I really love that as a word, and what it describes, I think, is Oliver Berkman and Alain de Botton's approach. This sort of very self-effacing, things are difficult and I am flawed and life is hard and I probably suck quite a lot, but here is a hopeful view of how I can get past it, taking into account all of my flaws, and being sanguine, just that kind of joviality in the face of life's challenges is cool. And I'm finding myself gravitating more toward people who create content like that. I think it really sees the human condition in an interesting way. So just I don't know, little dictionary.
Being a nice person who's good at your job is nowhere near enough. You need to stand out.
Moment for you there. All right, next one. This is The Power of Low Self-Esteem.
Ooh.
In September 1893, Churchill was admitted on his third attempt to the Sandhurst Military College. He wrote to his father, "I was so glad to be able to send you the good news on Thursday." His father, a former Chancellor of the Exchequer and leader of the House of Commons, wrote back a week later, "You should be ashamed of your slovenly, happy-go-lucky, harum-scarum style of work. Never have I received really any good report from your conduct from any headmaster or tutor, always behind, incessant complaints, and a total want of application to your work. You have failed to get into the 60th Rifles, the finest regiment in the army. You have imposed on me some extra charge of £200 a year. Do not think that I'm going to take the trouble of writing you long letters after every failure you commit and undergo. I no longer attach the slightest weight to anything you may say. If you cannot prevent yourself from leading the idle, useless, unprofitable life you have had during your school days, you will become a mere social wastrel, one of the hundreds of public school failures, and you will degenerate into a shabby, unhappy, and futile existence. You will have to bear all the blame for such misfortunes.
I like it.
Your mother sends her love." Churchill was 19 when he sent that. And that story hurts to read, hurts me to read, because I don't know the inner texture of Churchill's mind, but I would bet that even after defeating Nazi Germany, winning World War II, he probably still didn't feel good enough. You know, V-Day, whenever it was, June 30th, 1945 or something. How long did that sense of validation and enoughness linger with Churchill, having the greatest threat that had been faced for a very long time was just defeated. 2 days? Less than a day, maybe? Like, how quickly did his mind get back to castigating himself with that voice, that internal tyrant that was his father? And, you know, it sort of begs the question, what is the point of success if there is no satisfaction in the succeeding? Which is why you should be very aware of envying successful humans, because the price that you would need to pay to be the people that you admire is often one that you wouldn't foot the bill for. And I spoke about this idea to Neil Strauss, the guy that wrote The Game, and he wrote Rick Rubin's book, and then he wrote The Truth. He's got like 7 New York Times bestsellers, I think, and he's writing a new book. And he told me the title of this new book, and I came up with a rule off the back of his title, which is, you can tell how good an idea is by how envious you are of not coming up with it yourself when you hear about it. And he told me the title of this book, and I was like, fuck, that's so good. Why didn't I think of that? And the title of his new book is The Power of Low Self-Esteem. And it's this same idea that I've been obsessed with for a long time, which is look at the very successful, very impressive people that you admire, that lots of people look up to, that we all hold in high esteem, and look at what the internal texture of their mind's like. Look at what the day-to-day existence for them feels like. And what does it mean? How driven to do amazing, great, fantastical things are they? And yet, in reality, do you want to be that person? Like, do you want to pay the price that you need to be the people that you admire? And The Power of Low Self-Esteem, just what an awesome title. And you can tell how good an idea is by how envious you are of not having come up with it yourself. So yeah, next one. This is kind of cool. I mean, terrifying, but also kind of cool. Obesity is now a greater threat to global health than hunger. A new Lancet study has found that more than 1 in 8 people in the world are clinically obese. The number passed 1 billion for the first time, and it is now the leading form of malnutrition, with the number of people considered underweight falling below 550 million. Next one. This.
And Doug.
Imagine if we could tell everyone here that Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance to save people hundreds.
Leave him! It's a mascot! Oh, what's this? A fan has run out onto the field and he's not wearing pants. Do birds need pants? Leave him! And the control room censored it. Oh!
Only pay for what you need.
This is cool. I like this one. So, stop trading things that matter for ones that don't. This is from James Clear. If you already live a comfortable life, then choosing to make more money but live a worse daily life is a bad trade. And yet, we talk ourselves into it all the time. We take promotions that pay more but swallow our free time. We
take promotions that pay more but swallow our free time. Whatever promotion is, it will take our time within our relationship, within our stands of friendships. It will take the time so that we can make more money at the end of the day, which kills me to know that people do that. I would rather do that. I'd rather work than do nothing.
a successful business, but break ourselves trying to make it even more successful. Too much focus on wealth, not enough focus on lifestyle.
Too much focus on wealth, not much focus on lifestyle. Lifestyle, I think, is more important than wealth. Without lifestyle, you wouldn't be living the life that you are living right now. Wealth is just the wealth that has been passed down from generation to generation. How much money you make does not determine the lifestyle you can create. I mean, it does, some aspects, but it does not make the lifestyle that you want to make within the wealth that you have. Like, you can live in a nicer apartment. You can live in a nicer house. You can buy a nicer car. But it doesn't change the wealth that you make. It only changes the lifestyle that you created.
And this is kind of goes back to the hidden and observable metrics thing that me and George Mack.
Hidden and observable metrics. Hidden metrics are like habits, observer, or like actual things that you can see within your daily basis that you actually do. Actually find peace in.
About whereby the more observable and quantifiable and socially rewarded a particular metric is, the more acclaim that it gives you, the more status that it affords, the more that you're going to lean into that. And, you know, quality of lifestyle, you know, like real, what is the day-to-day existence of you like? How happy are you? How much spare time do you have to do the things that you care about? That is very hard to flex, and it's very hard to measure as well. But your bank account, it's pretty easy to measure, or the value of your house, or the number of bedrooms that it's got, or the growth of your company, or your job title, all of these things, super easy gains, and too much focus on wealth, not enough focus on lifestyle is just a nice reframe. You know, it reminds us, what are you trying to accumulate this wealth for? Presumably to afford yourself the kind of lifestyle that you enjoy. If you've already achieved a kind of lifestyle where you are happy, you then worsen that in an attempt to make more money, the bar stool is upside down. You're sacrificing the thing you want for the thing that's supposed to get it.
You're sacrificing the thing that you want, which is wealth, for lifestyle. You're sacrificing one lifestyle for wealth. You're sacrificing one or the other, not both. Comprehend? Unless if you can make a business on cars and stuff like that, then do that.
Oliver Berkman, again, says, just because you're at the top does not mean that you're enjoying life. The upper ranks of corporate life are dominated by insecure overachievers, people who are driven by a deep sense of inadequacy and are not having any fun, even though they've supposedly won this very competitive race. So again, the people that you admire, the people at the top of the totem pole, do you really want that life? Are they having fun, or are they dominated by insecure overachievers? These inadequate, the productivity debt riddled people. Is that really who you want? And then I kind of tied this to, I molested a quote from Nassim Taleb, where he says there's two types of people in the world: those who don't know how to make money and those who don't know when to stop. And I changed this to the Matthew principle of self-improvement, which is there are two types of people in the world: those who don't know how to improve their lives and those who don't know when to stop. And people who can improve their lives.
How to improve their lives and not know how to stop. I don't know how to stop. Versus others might not know how to improve their lives. Which is why I'm making this content, so I can help people out better. So then they can improve their own lives under my own advice. Which, do what you want. You can improve, you can not improve, you can do a lot of things. It's just learn. Just learn is all that I request for you guys to do, is to just learn. Doesn't matter how hard, doesn't matter how inadequate, doesn't matter how difficult it is. You need to learn. Because if you don't learn, you won't go anywhere.
Will always struggle to be around people who can't. Personal growth and self-improvement is liberating, and it's fulfilling, and it's exciting, but it is also a trap, I think.
After years of war, no one could stand between my men and home. Not even me.
Me, you will come back.
What if I can't?
That
movie looks good.
Convinces you that you're an unfinished article who doesn't need to start enjoying life yet. And you can defer.
An unfinished article, which means you can rewrite your story at any time, which means you have the pen to relive, to relive, and to rewrite your story at any time. You can change character, you can change anything you want within your life, but you cannot change other people.
Happiness until you've reached a certain level of development. You say to yourself, I'll really start living when I finally mastered this new meditation technique, or got to single-digit body fat, or hit 6 figures a year income, or bought that new house, or read 100 books, or grown my channel to 1 million subscribers, or whatever. And personal growthers, like you, have probably learned that a sacrifice-reward dynamic is useful. And it is useful in the micro, but it's malignant in the macro. We teach ourselves that we need to do the tough things first so that we can enjoy the fun things later. And if that's go to the gym before watch some YouTube, I think that's fine. But if it's complete an arbitrary amount of life improving before actually feel like we can let ourselves enjoy life, it's not fine. And the perennially difficult balance of the personal growther is between being and becoming. It's between feeling enough and wanting to be better, between a desire for more and a satisfaction for what you already have. You want to leave it all out on the field of play, but you realize that if you're constantly driven by desiring more, it's difficult to take time to enjoy the process of playing the game. And it's tough. I think, to be honest, this is the personal growth problem. It's the most common question that was asked at the live shows that I did last year and the Q&As. How do I know if I'm working hard enough? I feel like I'm sacrificing the thing I want, which is happiness, for the thing which is supposed to get it, which is success. I'm in this sort of lonely chapter thing, and I'm grinding away, and I have faith that this is going to be good for me in the long term, but I also don't want to look back in 20 years and realize that I basically just sacrificed my youth and my virility and all of the time that I had. And it's anxiety inducing. People don't like it. And it's tough. It is very, very tough to basically let go of that desire for more, for maximizing. But one solution that I quite like, that I got from Sam Harris last year, was to basically try and string together some moments of peace and gratitude wherever you can.
I like
so
that.
Just
whatever moments you find peace in or gratitude, and string them together and remember them, because if not, you will not remember them. For me, that's doing well on a video game, but doing well on a video. That's where I find peace in.
"30 seconds, 5 times a day, really putting your mind where your feet are." So taking a deep breath in.
The Chevy Silverado EV, 478 miles of range, and covering.
And allowing your mind to focus on the peripherals of your vision. And think about something that makes you happy. Think about how the things that you have now are only once things that you dreamed of having. Think about how insane it would be if you, from 5 years ago, could see this newly improved texture of your mind, or quality of your life, and clarity of your thoughts, and realize that all of the striving and pushing and grinding is indeed satisfying. But if you...
Everything is satisfying until it becomes less satisfying than what it could have been, if that makes sense.
Can't have fun now, you're never going to have fun
later.
You have to start having fun now. You must begin enjoying life right now, because it is only ever going to be right now. You cannot continue
that. And you, just to add on to that, you can't add on to if you don't have fun now, you won't have fun later. And if you want to have fun later, you must have fun now. Because if you don't have fun, you'll drop out on the field of play. So leave a like if you want to, subscribe if you want to. You guys probably will never see my content ever again. And hopefully I get to 260K just like he got. So, yeah. Peace. Have a good rest of your night and enjoy today while we get it.